So one of the fun things I like to do is roast my own coffee beans. And someone was asking me, how do I do this? Well, I use an old popcorn popper, and you can hear in the background that I'm actually roasting some coffee now. But my old popcorn popper is getting old and it's starting to make some noise. So I'm going to show you how I retrofit a popcorn popper to roast coffee and how I roast my own coffee. So this one here is an old Betty Crocker. It started to make noises for a bit. The Betty Crockers are apparently not very good for roasting coffee. However, if you take out the safety mechanism, you can actually make it last fairly long, a long time, and it can do a good job. So I'm going to show you how to take out the safety mechanism today and roast your own coffee. So this is my old machine, and as you can see, it's quite dirty. It gets a lot of the residue from the green coffee beans on it. It doesn't really hurt it. It heats up and cooks the beans anyway. But what I did was I took off the safety mechanism, which is attached to the air popper. And what that does is it makes it so it doesn't automatically shut down when it overheats. So I just unscrewed the bottom and the top so it popped out. And I'm gonna show you on the new one. So after you lift it up and pop it out, the safety mechanism is wrapped around the air popper. And if you take this off and just leave it hang, it'll still work, but it won't overheat and sense the overheat. Well, it will overheat. It won't sense that it's overheating and shut off on you, because you want the coffee beans to heat up enough to cook, but you don't want it shutting off midway, because then the coffee beans won't heat. So I'm going to show you how to take it apart. So this thing here is a heat sensor. We're going to leave it in the machine, but what we're going to do is we're going to remove it from the air popper. So there's a screw and a bolt on the side here. That just needs to be removed. This won't slide off, the band that held it to the popper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unscrew it, because I don't need it. I'm not going to attach it to anything. I'm just going to leave it inside the popper. Popped off one side. And second side's off. So this is the sensor, the heat temperature sensor, that I'm just going to actually leave in here and reassemble the machine. I'm going to reseal the top. So it doesn't pop out. And so this is my old machine. Now it still sort of works, but unfortunately it's starting to make noise. So instead of doing without coffee, I would rather have a new machine ready to go, and I can use that as a backup if I want to. I just have to clean it up. So this is an air popper, and what you do is you put coffee in here. And my rule of thumb is that I put enough beans in there until it's just slowly moving. Because what happens is the air, Penny says hi, the air shoots through the air popper, and it moves the beans, and it'll move them around constantly, just like a popcorn. And so the beans will move and cook, and then you just have to determine when you want to pull them out. Okay, so I'm in my bathroom, and this does make a lot of smoke and dirt. So what you're gonna need to do is do it in an area that you can vent. So I like to do it outside, but if it's not warm enough, then it won't heat up enough. So what I have here is a Sylvain Zombie from Haiti, and I'm going to start popping. So I'm going to start the machine. And I'm going to put enough beans. Usually what I do is I take the top off, and if you have a look in the air popper, I'm just going to pour some of the green beans in. And they're still spinning. I'm going to go until they stop spinning as much. And that's probably good. I'm going to let it go for a few minutes and I'll show you what it does. So if you take a look in the machine, the coffee beans are spinning. I put the lid back on the top because it helps to contain the heat. If you put too many beans in, what you have to do is you have to shake the popcorn popper so they keep spinning around. Otherwise your roast will be more uneven than normal. And unless you have a professional machine, your coffee is going to roast a little differently for each bean depending on the heat that it gets. The color is going from a green, a pale green, to a tan color already on some of them. Now I'm only about probably a minute in, but you can see the beans are really turning color now. There's a few light ones, but they will move to the bottom. As the beans dry out from the air popper, they get lighter in color, or lighter in weight. So you notice they move faster. Oh, and I just heard a pop. Now, if you've ever popped popcorn, you remember when it snaps, the coffee will do the exact same thing. And the beans are starting to turn brown. Now, we're starting at first crack, so what you'll notice it'll popping sound. First crack is obvious. Second crack takes a little bit of skill to figure it out. And it's a higher pitch sound. This is more of a pop, whereas the second crack is more of a... I know, weird. So let's wait another minute or so. Now, as you see, it does make quite a bit of a mess, so doing it outside is probably a good idea. So I have an old coffee strainer that I use to cool it off. So I'm going to take the lid off and just show you how it's looking. Oh, you see they're really spinning around there. So I'm going to leave this on because these beans are not as dark as I like for our espresso machine. So overall, it only takes a couple minutes to do a little bit of coffee. What I like to do is, I probably do 4 or 5 batches, so it'll last a few days. And honestly, it's about 15-20 minutes of my time. Now, the pitch of the crack is starting to change. Faster, closer together, higher pitch. This is about the time I take the lid off and I watch the color of the beans. If you like it more oily and darker, you can let it go a little longer, but it's in second crack right now. And I put my colander down here, just in case they pop out like that one did. I'm going to get ready to turn it off. And let this go a little bit darker than I normally would. And as you see, the bean expands, so it fills the popcorn popper more than it would when you put the green beans in. That's why it's very good to get an idea of the measurement of how much you're putting in. So these are good, and you'll see that there's probably more smoke coming off. You probably can't see that on the video, but they're also getting a little oilier. So I'm just going to take them out, dump them, and you'll probably see the smoke now. You shake. And cool them off. Having a window open, which is cool outside, helps. But there's my beans. This is our ECM espresso machine. It does a good job, and it has the sidekick of an espresso grinder or coffee grinder at the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some coffee and I'm going to show you how it does.